Welcome to Mr. Holloway's Foundational Java Skills series. In this video, we're going to talk about getters and setters. But before we get started, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And class is now in session. In the previous video, we talked about a method and how we declare a method, how we can call it. And this is the method that we made. It's called myMethod. And we basically are just printing out some information here. So we're printing the size, radius, and is circle attributes here. And we called myMethod here. And I talked about how these are two different objects. This is a circle 2 and this is a circle 3. And that's basically kind of just the general overall gist of what we did the previous video. So now we're going to talk about a getter and a setter. But before we do that, I want to do some cleanup. So we're specifically focusing on the getter and the setter. So let's do that.
Beautiful and healthy looking eyes. It
So
shouldn't be
let me
a
clear this up here.
Lumified eye
We're
illumination.
going to clear the objects.
Green non-irritating products developed
I
by
can
the
leave this for
experts
now.
at
So we have the
Bausch &
2
Lomb,
lines of code.
exclusively for the
And
sensitive eye area.
I'm going to just basically, we're going to keep
Nourish and brighten.
one
Clinically
attribute
proven and
here.
formulated with clean ingredients. And our
We're going to
unique
get rid
eye-bright
of
botanical
this.
complex. Lumified eye
We will get rid
illuminations.
of
Discover the science of eye beauty only in the eye care.
and we'll get rid of these 2 for now. And we'll get rid of this. So I want to be laser focused on the getter and the setter. So currently we have 2 constructors. These aren't going to really serve any purpose in terms of learning what the getter and the setter how it functions, but we will probably use this one here. So we'll use this to create another circle. We have one attribute, and we have the current just size method, or I'm sorry, the myMethod method here. All right, so let me do something really quick. So this is something that we're not supposed to do generally. So I want to access this size attribute here from outside of the class. So what I'm going to do is system.out.println, and I'm going to say circle dot size.
Oh, that's great.
All right, and then
First base.
I'm going to do, I'll do the same thing.
When our hearing
Let's do a couple
wouldn't
of
allow
these.
us to use a regular phone, it made us feel isolated.
It became
All right, so we're going to
communicate
do
with our friends
this.
and family.
Clear captions was an
And
easy
here I'm
solution
going to
for us.
say
Clear
circle.
Captions provides
Actually, I
captions
need
on
to
a phone like
change this up.
captioning
I'm
on
going to
your
change the
TV,
value
so
of
you
circle.
can
So I'm
see
going to say
what the caller is
circle
saying live as they say it.
making it
is
easy
equal
to
to
understand and respond
10.
immediately.
It should be
There is
circle
no
dot
insurance
size.
or Medicare required. Clear Caption
Dot
service
size
is provided
equal
at
to
no
10,
cost to you through a
and
federally
then we'll
funded program.
print that out.
We deliver,
All right.
install, and
So
train
right
you
now,
on how to use your phone, all at no cost to you.
The value is really going to
Your
be
left leg
0
independence
because the
and
default
connection
value
you
of
deserve.
Call now
of
to
size.
See if you qualify to get a Clear Caption
Actually,
phone
no,
at
it's not gonna
cost
be
to you.
0.
Call 1-800-916-7705.
Doesn't matter here. All right, so what we do, we're going to create a new circle. We're going to print out the value of the size, and then we're going to set the size, and then we're going to print it out.
Energy that gets you to the next level. Circle is what you hope for.
So let's watch what happens.
Circle, available at Walmart and drinkcircle.com.
There's an article.
And as you can see, we get circle is created. We get that from here, right? So from the constructor, and then we do the circle dot size, which is 0, which basically we haven't set any values here. So this is just the default value, which is showing, which is 0. And then we set the size of the circle to 10. And then we print out the size, and that gives us this here, this 10. Okay. Now this is generally what you don't want to do. So when you create classes, you don't want to give access to an attribute in this manner. So we're going to do it a different way using a getter and a setter. So let's first start with a getter. All right, so let me separate these two here. And this is also known as an accessor method. Accessor and the setter is known as a mutator. Mutator. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing here. So we're going to create a get method, but what a get method does is it just gets something, so it returns something. So I'm going to say public. You do it the same way, except we're not going to say void. So what we're going to return is going to be an int. So in here we're going to put what the method returns, and I'm going to say set size. So let's just do the skeleton here.
It doesn't matter. But if the questions you're asking when you have a
I'm sorry, that
child,
should be
if
get
you're
size.
concerned
Sorry about
with
that.
you shouldn't be having a child.
Because we're doing a getter. Generally, you want to do a getter with get and a setter with set. Kind of just a standard syntax in Java and many other languages. So this is the skeleton of it. Notice the difference that we have an int, so this is going to return an int. This is void, so it doesn't return anything. So all we want to do is something very simple. So we're going to say return size. That's the only thing we're going to do. And remember that size is an int. So what we're returning is just this value here. Or the int. So a getter just returns something. And so what we could do here now is instead of saying circle.size, and let me comment this out for now. We are going to do, actually, we're going to make this, one important thing I forgot to do. We're going to make this private. Okay, so what this does is makes this unaccessible to anything outside of this class. So notice how if we keep this, let me take this away. So if I take private away, okay, everything will print out. Everything's going to work because it's accessible outside of that class. All right, so that should run. And we get 0 because that's the default value of an int. But what if I do private? Now it's not accessible. So this is the correct way we want to do it. So now let's try to run it and let's see what happens when we have something that's set to private. So this is an attribute that's set to private. So it says size has private access and circle. So that's a good thing. So we no longer want to access this way. Okay. So what we want to do is this. So instead of saying circle.size, I can just say and I'll just concat this. I said size, because we just want to get the size. So it's going to return something here. And I'm going to say circle dot. And what do you think is coming next? Well, if we look at the name of the method, we'll say get size. And we'll say get. And as you notice, when I start to type, I get size. And then that is the proper way of getting an attribute back. And we call that encapsulation. So we want to encapsulate our attributes and our methods. And so now we get the same thing, except now it's done differently. So we have a private attribute, and we're just going to return that. And that's the way you want to do it. Okay? So now, let's say if we looked at this line here, we wanted to set the size. Well, we're no longer going to do it like that. And then plus, this is not going to work anyway, because if you notice, this is now private. So we don't want to do that this way. So what we want to do is we want to create a setter. So let's create a setter. So what a setter does, it just mutates or sets the whatever we're going to set. So in this case, so this is not going to return anything. So I'm going to say set size. So let me just set up my, and again, for those of you that have been watching and you see me just move the opening curly bracket down like that, I just do that for beginners. And I actually like that because it's just easier to read the code, looks better to me, but everybody doesn't do it. Anyway, all right, so what we want to do here is we want to set the size. But what we have to do is we have to put something inside of here. So what we're doing is when we call this method, we're going to put something inside of it. And that something is called, just like we had up here in the previous video, it's a parameter. So we're going to put a parameter. So we're going to say size. All right. And so then all we're going to do is we're just going to set the size. So I'm going to say this dot size is equal to size. Now, if you have watched my previous video, this size here, so this dot size refers to this here. So this attribute. And then this size here refers to this inside the parameter. Okay, so this is the way we're going to set the size. So now we're going to come back on the other side. And notice we're no longer doing this. So what we can do is, just get rid of this. We'll get rid of all of it, and I'm going to say circle dot set size. Now, I just can't call this like this, because if I do, I'm going to get an error. So watch what happens.
Dupixent helps prevent asthma attacks and can even reduce or eliminate oral steroids.
And notice we get error method set size cannot be applied to given types. It says there are no arguments. So again, on this side, this is called an argument. So we have to put something inside of it to pass it back to the method. So I'm going to just put anything, and I'll put 25. Okay, 25 is an int. So we're going to pass this 25, and if we come back to the set size, it expects an int. And then we're going to assign the value of that int to this size attribute. Okay, so now once we set the size, we're just going to print out the new value. So the new value, and we do that simply by doing circle.get size. Okay, so that is going to do exactly what we did in the beginning, but it's a lot safer now. So we're using encapsulation to protect our variables or our attributes.
To join tens of thousands who've improved their online reputation.
So now we've done the exact same thing. We print the value, which gives us 0 initially. We're going to set the size with a value here, which is 25, and then we get the size again to check out the new value. So that's kind of just the basic of this. So let's take another look. So we created a get method, which returns something. All we're doing is saying, hey, I need something. And if this was a string, this would have to be a string. If this was a Boolean, it would be a Boolean, or double, or whatever data type it is. Whatever data type we're sending back, we were just going to have to put that there. And then the get method always comes with the return. So we're returning something. And then in the set method, we're setting something. So we're mutating something. And then we're reassigning variables or some values of an attribute. Now, if you notice, we have 3 different types of methods. One, we can just call this a utility method. It just prints out the size, which is fine. But we actually don't need this now that we have our get method, so we really don't need that. But this is just for demonstration purposes, kind of showing the different types of methods that are out there. All right. So this concludes this video. In the next video, we're going to move on to static. We're going to talk about what does that word static mean. So don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.
A 10-year-old boy. It's still under investigation, so stay tuned for further updates.